welcome, guys, to another episode of Shooting the Breeze, episode number 5. We are, well, check this, recording this at 20 past 1 a.m. because I am joined by Naomi all the way from Australia. We've tried this twice now to get timings right, and it sucked so bad, but here we are. So, anyway, let's welcome Naomi. Hey, Naomi, thanks for
Hi,
joining
Will.
me.
How are you?
I am grand. I was just recording a wee intro there just about the whole time difference thing, and we managed to nail it this time.
Yes. What time is it over there? What time is it over there?
It is 1:22 a.m.
Crazy, crazy. It's 11 a.m. at the moment on Tuesday in Australia. So we were trying to figure out what day, what
Yeah,
time.
aye.
The
But we got
wonderful.
there. We got there. It's Tuesday
Yes.
here, so we're okay. But yeah, we got there in the end.
Yep.
So I was just saying, the weird and wonderful world of online dating.
Oh,
What a minefield.
don't even get started on that.
What an absolute minefield, I think. Like, I'm assuming you guys will have all your regular, like, dating apps and
We
stuff
do.
that you've got over here, and just oofed. Do you
Yeah.
have any horror
Stories.
stories? Any good stories?
Oh, well, okay. You'll laugh at this, but I'm probably a little bit older than you. I actually started online dating when it first came to Australia many, many years ago. So I actually met my husband on online dating, but it was very different then. So you register all your details on the computer because we didn't actually have mobile devices that actually you know, there's no swiping. So I had to register the details back in, oh God, 2000, right?
Oof.
So probably even a little bit more than that. I started online dating back then. And we used to have an app called ICQ. So it was sort of like a little chat app on the computer. And you'd go to work the whole day and you wait till you got home and then you'll see if you had any messages and then you could reply. So none of this instant response business.
Oh,
But yes, we do have dating apps in Australia. We'd have the traditional, you know, Tinder, Bumble, Hinge,
yeah.
all of those. And I tell you what, dating in my 20s online and then dating in my 20s, in my 40s, that was a culture shock.
I think when you get to like a certain age that it just becomes like, I don't want to say it, but it's like a cow market. You're just trying to make the best of a bad situation.
Yep. It is a little bit like that.
Yeah, and it's like when you're like you've got your phone and you're like, and it can be quite tedious as well.
It is very tedious.
Especially when how like the whole swiping thing, they're telling you like you spend your whole life being told never judge a book by its cover.
Hell no, that's a lie when you're dating your phone.
You're having to do that.
Yes, it is.
And as well, like the cover of this book could be nice and shiny, but the chapters, you know.
Scary stories behind those pictures.
God, right. I
So
mean,
did you actually have any selection criteria when you're swiping?
pulse? No, I think like I'm one of these people now. I know this might sound like proper cliche and such a guy answer, but I'm all about like the personality of a person.
Mm.
Like, yeah, there has to be that whole physical attraction at the very start, but I am one of the rare ones that will probably read a bio.
That's
That's
a
rare,
rarity.
right?
That's
Yeah.
a rarity. But then how do you tell what's a person's personality besides what they write? What do you use?
That's the thing, is it's like you can read the bio and it could be like, especially now we live in an age where like, you could chat GPT and a bio. And it could paint you out to be like a brain surgeon from like east of Texas, but you could be like a middle-aged housewife in Durham.
That's right.
But it's when you strike up the conversation, and I think you can tell within a couple of messages if they're either got the personality that's portrayed on their bio, or if they've got the personality of a wet mop.
I totally agree. I totally
Yeah.
agree. What I did look at, if there was one photo, I used to just go, yeah, maybe. But the guide I used to have, I don't know if it's the correct one or not, was that could I actually imagine this person standing next to me at a school function?
Okay.
That was I guess my criteria to start off with on a very visual scale, to see would that person be okay standing next to me at a school function. Why a school function? Because I think a school function can be very conservative. And if they can actually, do you know what I mean? Like, will they blurt out like random things that I go, you know?
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
So that was my first thing. And then looking at the subsequent photos were always a good judge, I guess, similar to finding out their personality. So whether they had an outside shot, out in nature somewhere like hiking or doing an activity, that they were, some photos with a group of friends. I'd always say no to the guys who actually showed pictures of their children.
Yes, I think that's a bit. I mean, it's all very well having kids in this kind of day and age, but keep that for the personal chat, I think.
I agree. Like some men like to put photos of them with kids in there. Sometimes you even get not my kid. And I don't get that, because if it's not your kid, why is that kid in your picture on a dating profile?
By the way, right?
And
Instant red flag.
instant red flag. Yeah. And how about the ones who actually write looking for a partner in crime?
Honestly, I don't like the group pictures as well, because it's not a game of Where's Wally.
Oh yeah. Multiple group pictures is not
Yeah,
good. And
because
like one, I think, is okay
yeah,
to show that they've got friends.
yeah, because like knowing me, I'd swipe right and match with this person, but it's not the one that I thought it was in the group.
You're right. It's not a Where's Wally competition. So you couldn't
luckily,
just sort of like, yeah,
luckily, I can safely say that's never happened yet. But
yet. There
oh
will be a time. There will be a
yeah,
time.
yeah, the whole partner in crime thing, it's like,
Do you
oh
get a lot of that?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
or it's like a lot of the ones that I find, it's like, I'm a mum to a daughter or son, and they always come first. It's like, you don't have to tell me that.
Yeah.
I kind of
If you've got kids,
they come first.
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's nothing that you don't need to announce it. It's not an airport. You don't have to
Yeah.
announce everything.
And if they're coming first, why are you on a dating app? Right? Like,
Yeah, I
so
mean,
we all know. Yeah.
I get the whole, sometimes like, you just want a bit of companionship and things. And you know what? That's totally fine if that's your bag. But I think as well as if you do meet someone on a dating app, there's that whole when's the correct time to introduce them to a child. That's another kind of blurred line. If somebody wants to introduce me to their child quickly,
Mm.
I'm like, oh, wait a minute.
Is that a red flag for you?
I'm not here to play dad. Well, like, I'm not saying that I wouldn't, but I think there's a time and a place.
I agree.
Let us just enjoy each other's company first.
Yep.
And
To see
then,
if you get along, right?
yeah, because there's nothing worse than matching with someone with a personality of a wet mop.
Yeah. And people do sort of like say, oh, my kids and I come as a package. You get that, right?
Oh,
But at the
100%.
same time, it's important to connect with the person one-on-one first before bringing the whole family.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I suppose I'm lucky in the sense of like my daughter's coming for 13. So, you know, she doesn't really have the issue of getting attached easily now, when they
Yep.
were younger, that kind of thing. But then I don't want to introduce her to a revolving door of women either. Not that
No.
I'm like that, just to clarify.
Not what you said before.
I did kind of get about, jeez, oh.
No, we don't.
But I think maybe about 5, 6 months is maybe ample.
Yeah,
What's
I
your
think
take?
so. Yeah, I think so. I think you have to know, like I always say to a lot of my clients who've actually started dating again, that people are on usually on their best behavior for about 3 months.
Yes.
It's almost like a job probation period where 3 months they're on their best behavior. And I do find that's the case when you're actually dating as well, that they're always, there's a couple of things that just doesn't sit right. And then you think, but you persist because you go, oh, overall as a package they're okay. And I always find that the 3 months is always a telling time where things start to get a little bit hairy. And so you're right, having that 6-month buffer is really a good time frame to really get to know that person and before introducing them to the kids.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
even when you're,
I think it's a good start anyway.
mm,
Definitely. But on the flip side, like I was saying this to my friend the other day there as well, was like you could always look at it as, should you introduce the kid quickly? Because if they don't get on with the kid, then there's no hope for you. So do you know what I mean? You could kind of use not an excuse, but there's no point wasting this 6 months if they don't get on with the kid. So it's
so what, you just throw the kids in together and just to see how they fight it all out,
sink or swim, go for it.
and then you go, okay, they like each other, all right, we might as well start
Game
dating.
beginning, isn't it? Yeah, I mean I think having kids in the online dating world, it's one of those. I think it's a make or break. It could genuinely because I matched with someone on Tinder months ago, and we were trying to organize just like a coffee date because
Yep.
I love my coffee both.
Oh, do you?
We could never make it work because I
Yep.
was either at work or I had my daughter's called Sophie, so or I'd have Sophie, and they were always like, "Oh, well, how are you going to find time to date?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's a good question." And I would kind of like second guess myself almost.
Yep.
It was like, am I putting not like, am I forgetting myself?
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? Because I think we do kind of, you get to an age where you kind of lose yourself almost. What do you think?
Oh, totally, totally. I think that once you become a parent, it's a different kind of life where
Yeah,
you do, you always have to think for your kid. Oh, are they hungry? Are they tired? Are they thirsty? And so you're always preempting things that
yeah,
you forget a lot about self-care.
yeah,
But when you do go through divorce or separation and you start thinking, okay, well, I'd like to meet new people again, and whether it's for companionship or friends with benefits or whatever the title is these days,
uh,
it's important to put that time aside so that
yeah,
you do focus on yourself and meeting up with other adults just to even enjoy a meal. So,
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think friends are important as well as also
mm,
that kind of, I dare say, like intimate kind of connection, because I think an intimate connection could come just without the physical side of
oh,
things.
agree. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of rare these days. Like, um, I'm just recently single again. I was single since 2017,
Mm,
but then I met somebody just about October there,
hmm.
and obviously things didn't quite work out. But I've known the last for like 9 years, so we're still kind of good friends, I suppose.
Okay.
Oof, that's a story in another day. But
We have to take up another time.
oh, by the way, oofed. But I think when you kind of put yourself back out there and it doesn't work out, you're kind of like, oh, you kind of almost recluse.
Yeah, look, I have a lot of friends who've actually done that.
Yeah,
They dip their toe in, and it's kind of murky in there. So then they go,
yeah,
I'll go back into my little box. But it depends on what you actually look at dating is, and how you go about that.
yeah,
Because me, when I was dating again, it wasn't to find the next romantic love. It wasn't to be who is my one person, because I don't think that there's one person. Um, but I did find that going out there and dating again put me into new situations. I'd been with my then husband for 17 years. So it was getting myself back out there, meeting new people. And in that meeting of new people, you end up discovering a lot about yourself. I found, like I started going out and I was thinking, because I was really, I've got 3 kids and at the time they were a bit younger. So I was looking, do I go out with someone with kids or do I go out with someone without kids? And because there's pros and cons for each, right?
Yeah.
So going out with, because I had my kids 100% of the time. So if I was going out with somebody who didn't have kids, he would always be available because I wouldn't have to tee up his times with his kids and all that stuff, right? So all those advantages. However, on the flip side, he didn't actually have kids, so he didn't really understand the importance of, well, the kids' activities, I do have to drive around for that first before I can go out to dinner with you, like, so that was things that I just sort of like ended up discovering for myself. And so when you're actually consciously dating again, I think it was a good lesson for the things that you wanted and things that you didn't want, so that it helps you rule it out for later on.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't think there's kind of like, when it comes to kids and the online dating thing, I don't think there's really right or wrong. I think it's just how you manage it, how you, like, mind your time and be respectful of the other person.
Yep.
Have you ever like been in the situation where you've dated someone without kids and they've just not grasped what it takes to look after kids?
Oh yeah, totally. Like, so I went out on a couple of dates with somebody a few years ago, and so it was an interesting one because he was a hang glider, like a gliding instructor, hang
Yeah.
gliding instructor. So he liked to do, go down. So he would say to me, "Hey, you want to go down for a hang gliding this weekend?" I'm like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
I can't just drop my kids. I've got to, to drive them to their Saturday sports and stuff. I can't just pick up and go, and he'll be driving around and go, "Hey, I'm in Sydney this weekend. I'm not, working down south. Do you want to go out for dinner?" It's just like, well, what time did you want to have dinner? Oh, about 20 minutes. No, dude, I can't.
Oh yeah.
So that was really hard. So that obviously that didn't last. But yeah. So I think that was a little bit of the consensus with my girlfriends, who've actually tried dating as well. So
yeah, I think I've been quite conscious about that, because when me and Sophie's mum, when we separated, I always kind of vowed that I wouldn't date anyone with kids, because I didn't want to kind of, it's going to sound really weird and maybe selfish, but I didn't want to share Sophie.
yeah.
But then after like having the same kind of rough experiences, it's like, right, no one else is going to understand this except from another parent.
Mm,
And
yeah.
then I met this girl, this woman, and we were together for 5.5 years.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
We matched on Tinder.
Tinder gets a lot of bad rap, but I think
Right?
you
It
know,
really
but
does.
but Tinder is still the go-to place that a lot of people log on, right? So you're going to laugh at this. This is where I used to find a lot of the new stock.
I love it.
So, do you know what I mean? Because like when people sort of like split up, they go, "Hey, I'm going to go on Tinder." And like that was the go-to, right? People go,
Yeah.
and so you'd get a lot of people who were just sort of like fresh out of relationships, good or bad. It varies, but you would get, like I said, a lot of new stock, so they're not really tainted by doing the rounds with all the dating apps.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, I've swiped you before,
I'm sure I've seen this one before.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you ever come across anyone you know, and
Oh yes.
ever like how would like I've come across a few people that I know, and I'm thinking like, just swipe. I'm curious. What if we match? Oh my god! And I'll overthink it, and I'm like, I don't know how do you approach that?
Well, it depends on how they know them, right? So I've actually seen some dads at school who I do believe were married.
Oh, damn.
And then there'll be, friends from outside. And so if it was friends from outside, I'd swipe it just for shits and giggles. Or can I
Yeah,
say that? I'm not sure.
yeah, yeah, it's all good. Yeah.
But I would actually just swipe on them just to say, hey, I like your profile, or hey, dude, you need to take that picture down. It's probably a little bit tasteless. Um, so it depends on who and the context.
Yeah.
But or if I've got their number, I used to do a screenshot of their profile and just send it through and just say, hey, look what I found.
Oh,
But that
man.
was just, yeah, that was for fun. What would you do?
I think you're right though. I think it would depend on on who I saw and how I knew them.
Yep.
I've seen a few people that are like, the last time I spoke to you, you were with like such and
Yeah,
such,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and,
yeah.
and I get so nosy. I'll be then like find them on Facebook, and I'm like,
Yeah. When was the last time they took a photo together?
yeah. Oh, I am such an old sweetie wife. Sometimes I really am.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But then again, it's like sometimes I would just maybe message them and be like, "Hey, I thought you were with such and such. Is this you?" Because you hear about it all the time.
Oh, yeah, people will
So
steal profiles. Oh, that's just
catfishing.
your excuse of getting nosy.
Yeah.
Guilty as charged.
Oh, damn it! I've been caught out.
Oh, that's so
But
funny.
I'm waiting to one day actually find my ex-wife on it. I'm expecting that
Oh,
one.
yeah. Oh, I did actually. I did find my ex-husband on Tinder. Okay, so do you want to hear this story?
Always.
Okay, so I I found him on Tinder, and on Tinder, if you don't actually swipe them, you can actually give it to a friend.
Oh.
Yeah, so you can. Well, when a few years ago, you could do that. So if you did, so sort of like, just say my friend Sophie, and I just thought, oh, okay, well, Will's not my type, but hey, Sophie might like him, so I can actually pass that profile to her, and
Okay.
she can type. Right. So a few years ago, while I was in the middle of my court proceedings, in my family divorce case, I found a picture of my ex-husband. Right. I'm like, and I read through the profile, and I'm like, yep, those are his pictures, right? So I didn't swipe on him, but I ended up sending off to a couple of my girlfriends, right? So they swiped on him and he swiped back and had conversations, right?
Oh.
So these conversations later went on to other platforms like Kick.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
at this time, he had actually been with his girlfriend for a couple of years. So he was still playing the field, right? So my girlfriends are chatting to him while he's chatting to, and they're like, oh my God, Naomi, can you believe he's saying this? He's saying this. I said, I don't even know why he's on Tinder, considering he's supposed to be in this serious relationship with this woman. But he was saying, and so my girlfriends were just sort of like talking to him and saying, oh, what happened in, your relationship? It says on your profile that you're taken. What does that mean? Are you married? Have you got a long-term relationship? And he said, well, I've got a long-term relationship, but she doesn't put out as often as I'd like her to. And she goes on business, so therefore I'm on Tinder looking for things, right? Anyway, so my girlfriend starts talking. He sends her the ultimate picture.
Oh, the unsolicited dick pic. Oh,
So
Jesus.
she so she contacts me and she says, I need verification from this.
Well, look, if anyone's going to know.
So
Oh
then
my
he
word.
sends it to me. Anyway, he tries to sort of like tee up a time so that they can meet in a hotel, right? So she shows me these contacts. Anyway, we had a good laugh, right? And we said, wouldn't it be cool to say that you're into all that stuff where you blindfold him and all that stuff in the hotel room? And I go in there and I unwrap the blindfold. Can you imagine?
Oh man.
We didn't follow through with it. We didn't
Oh,
follow
okay,
through
that was
with
the
it.
next question. Oh.
But it was very funny to sort of, and to also know what he tells other people about his
Yeah.
ex-wife, aka me. So that
Yeah.
was interesting.
Jesus. I mean, like, I would like to take a minute and apologise on behalf of men worldwide for the unsolicited dick pics.
Don't do it, guys. Don't do
No,
it.
right? Take note. I
I
mean,
don't I don't know what makes people think that that is okay. It's just
this is really funny actually because I was having a conversation with one of my best friends about this the other night there, and you like it's not okay,
no.
and B, I think we could both agree here. We're both adults here. They're not the most flattering thing to look at in a picture. So just stop it.
Stop it. Stop right
Stop
there.
it.
Yes, stop it. You don't need that. Like the thing is, like it doesn't actually add value to anything. And if anything at all, the men who actually do it pretty much highlights to the women on the other side. The only thing that you're good at is that.
Yes.
And that can be questionable. Do you know what I mean? Because you're not showing your personality, you're not showing your humor, you're not showing any type of general knowledge. It's just bang.
Yeah. And that's the thing as well, is it's like we've all heard the saying like size doesn't matter, it's what you do with it. And these guys could brag all they want,
Mm.
but a guy's gotta have game.
And there's got to be some mystery, or there is just, like the good old flirtation.
Yeah.
And everything doesn't actually have to be out there in the world to see. And I think that's the issue that I have a lot of the times now, is that people just want to show everything up front. There isn't any of that getting to know you. There isn't any more of that mystery
Uh,
of
yeah.
finding out anymore. Do you find that's the case?
Absolutely. And I think what I don't think helps is I think like the hookup culture has totally ruined like actual dating, I think.
Mm.
It's become quite like we were saying at the start, it's become such a minefield, and I don't. It's very toxic almost. I would say because
Mm.
like as I say, like the hookup culture, just it's yeah. I mean, for me personally, like a woman's a body count, I could not care less. I really genuinely couldn't care less.
I only thought heard somebody said body count recently, and I'm like, did they
What
kill
does that
someone?
mean?
Like,
Oh,
because
yeah.
you only talk about body count as in like, but
Yeah, yes, I suppose. Yeah.
but you
Oh.
don't sort of like think about. Yeah, I think actually it was interesting because in maths in Australia, do you have married at first sight
Yeah.
well,
We
they
do.
had maths in Australia, and there was one thing that they were talking about was with X's and stuff like that, and body counts and all that stuff. Like none of that. Like honestly, we're in our 40s.
Yeah.
Does it really matter? If you've had
Exactly.
500. I mean, like it doesn't really matter at this point, does it?
Nah, to me it really doesn't. I mean, like as I said, like I'm 42. I've got a tuxedo in my cupboard waiting just to be used if I get married again. Do you know what I mean? It's one of those in case of emergencies break glass kind of gimmicks. But yeah, I think I think as well as people, I think we do sometimes put a lot of pressure on ourselves,
Oh, totally.
and you're never always going to get it right. Like I thought I found the one like a million times in life, and it's just I'm pottering about a 2-bedroom house myself, so we all know how that worked out, right?
It is. It is. Like I don't. I think dating has definitely changed since, like I said to you, in your 20s. There's some, there's some interesting stories that you hear about with your girlfriends when you're talking about dating these guys in your 40s or post separation, post divorce.
Yeah.
Yeah, some are very interesting.
Yeah, oh, to say the least. Like, I mean, I'd count myself as quite privileged in a way because I've not had many like serious relationships in my life. I
Mm.
met my first ever girlfriend when we were 12,
Ooh, young
and
love.
we were together for almost 11 and a half years.
No way.
Yeah, she was like my first for everything, and even to this very day, I know that I could phone her and she would answer me even at this time of night because we're still so good friends.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's awesome.
But that
11
has
years.
that's almost cost me problems in relationships because people don't like the fact that we're still close.
Yes.
I could understand that, but like, I could try my hardest to put this, to put a potential partner at ease and be like, look, there's nothing in it, and there genuinely isn't anything in it.
Mm,
But I need to do my part and like, helping them understand, but it's not always that easy.
no.
Do you think it's normal for to be friends with exes?
Oh,
Because that's another one that I come up against a lot.
oh, you do, you do. Let me think. There's a couple of people I've dated who I'm still friends with. Do I call them up for a have a coffee? No, not really.
Yeah.
Um, but it's funny, because I've heard mixed stories because there'll be some people who will say, oh, he just wants to get in your pants, or he's only trying again to get into. And I genuinely think, or it's either I genuinely think or I'm just too daft.
No.
And I just go, no, we're actually just friends.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it is
and
possible.
yeah, it is possible. Um, so yeah, so I just think sometimes I think it is possible to be friends with your exes. I've seen some really successful people be still good friends with their exes. Would I feel secure in that relationship? I guess it depends on how my partner treats me, if that
Yeah.
was the case. Um, yeah, it's a tricky one.
It is because, like, like the ex I'm talking about, like I was there for when she buried her granddad, and she buried her mum. I was like right by her side,
And like
and
there's a lot of history there, right?
absolutely. I mean, like, to meet someone, to meet your first girlfriend when you were 12, and at 12 years old, you still want to eat dirt and play soldiers. Do you know what I mean? So
And I guess the thing is, like, if it was one of your mates that you've known since 12, would your new partner be as jealous?
that's
No.
the thing, eh? I think it's because, like, at one point there's that romantic connection there, and as I said, she was my first for everything, and I was like, we were each other's first for everything,
Mm,
and we'll always, always, always share that bond because I mean, yourself, you could only ever have one first,
mm, that's right.
and I always think that that's or it should be special
Yeah.
because, like, even though we were only 12, we never really did the deed until we were 18
Mm.
because there was the factors of we were kids, we were
Yeah,
kids,
that's right. Your
right?
kids. That's the
Like,
reality.
yeah, we were just
But there's a lot of sweetness about that too, isn't it?
yeah,
Like your first, that excitement of the first kiss being both your first and
yeah.
holding hand and having giggles, you know?
I mean, it was weird because, like, I still remember, like, the first kiss that we ever had. I still remember things like that, and I don't know. It's like you don't really think about things like that until you're kind of like in this kind of moment where you're talking about it, and you're like, "Oofed," and you're kind of
Do you,
reminiscing.
do you think you'll like just say one day you both find yourself single again? Do you think you'll ever rekindle that?
I wouldn't say so. We're two different people these days.
Yeah.
Because we separated when we were like in our early 20s.
Mm. And you've grown a
And
lot since then.
yeah, I mean, she's went off to have like kids, and she's bought a house, and she's doing like the family thing. I mean, like, yeah, I mean, like, so am I suppose, but we're just two different people now. I'm not saying that we wouldn't be friends, but I think
Mm.
that's as far as it would ever go.
Yep.
I don't. When you're talking about exes, do you think, or is it possible for exes to get back together and be stronger?
Oh, there are some people that I know who've actually done that. Do you know what I mean? Like they've gone their separate ways. So one of my friends, her parents split up when she was in her teens. They spent some time apart. The parents repartnered, went off in their merry, ways, and then just probably in the last 5 to 6 years, her parents got back together again. You
Oh,
know, and
oh,
there is like their grandparents now, and they've just and when I saw them, it was really nice to see them together. So yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Elizabeth Taylor did it, didn't she?
I mean, look, if she can
It
do it,
happened. Oh well, J Lo did it with Ben Affleck a
oh, she
couple of
did with
times.
Affleck, eh? Oh, they've been on and off more times. But yeah, like I think it's difficult because like you've always got, depending on why you became exes in the first place, I think you've always got the reason in the back of your mind, especially if there's like, a bit of mistrust.
Mm,
You've always got that in the back of your mind as well. And
mm.
is it possible? I think it can be, but at what detriment to yourself? Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, because like you said, right, the person that you were in your 20s when you were with this first girlfriend is very different to what you are now. You've grown, you've done different things, you found yourself a little bit more, and she would have done the same thing. So to find that commonality to link you back again, it would actually have to take something fairly significant.
Yeah, for sure. And again, it's when you factor in, like, she's got kids and I've got kids now. It's like when they get on,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, it's
Did
an,
was like I guess you mentioned the fact that the women that you dated did actually have problems with you being such good friends with her. How about the men that she dated? Was it an issue that you were still good, like a part of her life?
yes, there was some kind of resentment there. We lost touch for a while.
Mm,
When I met Sophie's mum, when we got married, she wasn't invited to the wedding because she didn't trust her and things like that. And honestly, and that to this day that still bothers me
mm,
because I would have loved her to be there to,
mm.
like, to share that with me, because we met in the very first. I think we met in like maybe the very first couple of weeks of starting high school,
Wow, yeah.
and to go through everything that we went through and high school and the exams and everything, and then for my fiance to become my wife is like, she's not coming to the wedding. It did bother me, but like I was saying, it's like it's when you kind of have to respect your potential partner's wishes.
Yep, yep.
I don't know if that was looking back. I maybe should have thought a bit more, but I don't know if that was the right thing to do. Do you know when you second guess yourself?
Yeah, yeah. And I think that that's hindsight is a beautiful thing,
Oh yeah,
isn't it? Like, because you just go, oh, damn it, I should have done this when I had that opportunity. But,
yeah,
you had to make the best decision at the time.
yeah, and I think as well, it's would it have added any value? I don't know. Would it have
Mm,
caused like drama? Probably, because
mm.
when you get a few shandies deep, and oh Jesus.
God knows what would happen.
Oh, I dread to think.
Yeah.
Somebody would have taken their high heels off and squared up, and it just would have been, yeah. And I mean, that's the thing, is like when it comes to like the dating side of things, I don't really drink much.
Mm,
I don't drink alcohol much, so like there's only kind of so many dates that I'm interested in doing. Like I'd go for dinner with someone and maybe like a coffee, But see like the nights out and stuff, that's no for me anymore. I'm too long in the tooth for that.
It's past your time.
Yeah, like I remember like checking the time and being like, it's 8 o'clock because I no time to go home yet.
Oh,
Jesus,
there's time to go.
ah, because I'm the kind of person that's like I would go out at 6 o'clock in the evening,
Yep.
have a few beers, a pizza on the way home, and bed it by 9 o'clock after watching Coronation Street. That's a night out to
That's
me.
that's that's living on the edge, Will.
By
That's
the
living on
right.
the edge.
And do you know what? I'll really get controversial. I'd have pineapple on that pizza.
Oh, I love pineapple.
Yes.
Pineapple belongs on pizza.
I get so much shite for that.
Who are the haters? Who are the haters? They have not, like grilled pineapple or cooked pineapple. It's just so nice.
It is. I like it on a bit of gammon as well.
Oh,
Oh man, I'm so hungry, and it's just like 2 in the morning.
it's one, it's 1 o'clock. Yeah, you're probably better
Yeah.
not talk too much. You'll get hungry.
I must admit though, there is a pizza shop near me that does tuna and banana
On the same pizza?
on the same pizza. It looks like dog sick. So it looks
Tuna
horrific.
and banana.
Yeah, it looks horrific.
Oh my God, you'd have some Italian rolling in their grave over that.
I like one of my good friends. He's actually like my tattoo artist. He's like half Italian, and he's like. I remember turning up at his one night with a pineapple on a pizza, not thinking. He was
Yep.
so offended. He was like, if my nonny, he's grand,
No, 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 no.
if my nonny was alive, and I'm just like, I'm so sorry, and
I have never heard of that combination before. It's got to be, I don't know if I could stomach that tuna and banana. Tuna, I don't think I've ever seen tuna on a pizza.
no, it's not something that I would ever. No,
You will distance yourself from that.
The next time I'm working, I'll see if I can find one and take a photo and be like,
Yeah, do that. Send it.
So, in regards to like a first date with someone new, what would be the ideal first date?
Oh, the ideal first date. I think with this day and age where catfishing is such a thing, like with people, there's apparently a lot of 6-foot men out there, and then when you turn up, you go, dude, you're not 6 foot. I'm only 5. No, let me think. I'm 5'5". So for me to sort of like, and then they're sort of like this a little bit taller. I'm like, dude, you're not 6 foot. So the first date I always do a meet and greet.
Yes.
And I like to say that as a meet and greet as well. Like, I don't like to say it's a first date. I always say it's a meet and greet. And my rules were, I did have rules, was that I didn't want to go to dinner or anything that was too fancy, because then you get into that who pays, he pays, I pay. I don't want to get into that. So for me, like a coffee and a walk, or, grabbing a drink for a walk. It's really just that, just to sort of like see if you gel with that person in real life. So that's the first one. Because there's, there's some men who actually want to pay or insist to pay. And I don't want them to feel like they need to offer to pay for a first dinner date if there wasn't a mutual liking between the two of us and it didn't get anywhere. So I don't like men to feel ripped off or duped, because they paid for the date. The other thing is I don't kiss on the first date. So there'll be a kiss on the cheek, but there's no, again, it's just to sort of like see if the man that I went on that date with, whether he could respect my boundaries.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I like the whole not going out to like a restaurant or anything, because the whole paying thing, that's when it becomes awkward. And I think that's where a lot of first dates just end right there.
And I think Yeah, and I think for men these days, I think it's very hard as well because there's so much push for, women and equality and all this stuff. So then the guy, if he's just one of these men who actually say, "Oh, I'll pay for the date," if he gets a good date, the date his date might be appreciative, but on some level, he might get somebody who would be really offended that he actually offered to pay.
Yeah.
So I think that in order to save that first hassle, yeah, I always go on I used to go on drink dates, like as in a coffee and then a
Yeah.
walk around the park. I have dogs, so it was good to walk the dog and talk and just to get to know that person in real life.
Yeah, I think when I started seeing that women back in October there, like
Mm,
we went for a coffee, um, just to chat and get to know each other on like a kind of dating level, and she was like, "Look, I hope you don't mind, but I'm going to go and get some lunch, and then we're going to go and pick the kids up from school." And I was like, "Cool, I'll come with you." And she was of the I'm inviting you, so I'm going to pay.
mm,
And I'm like,
yeah,
right, okay. I was like, that's fine, that's respectful. And like, would always be like, right, well, I'll get the next one then. And
mm,
we always kind of worked it like that. And there was none of
yep,
that awkward conversation because we
yep,
knew we each other stood
yep,
beforehand.
yep, yep.
Although it's not all the time you could have that conversation, I suppose. But
No,
it is one that I think could save a lot of first dates.
for sure, for sure. How soon? How soon do you meet after chatting online?
Oh, that's I'm quite. It's weird actually because you probably again like I mentioned this earlier. So I can be quite socially awkward, although you might not really think that.
No, we've had a good chat so far. That's
Yeah,
just,
and I think it's if you've got like the computer screen in front of you or like your phone, I do think that you can almost get away with being like a different person.
mm,
So I think you've kind of got that like, the male bravado kind of thing
mm,
going on. I would say maybe like I would always ask the person, be like, "Hey, by the way, like my work rota, I'm free like 2 weeks time." So, so I'd
mhm.
always kind of try and put a bit of distance in there so we could continue
The
the session,
chatting.
and then, yeah, before we could, and then that would give them the time to go. By the way, this is now happening, or like just whatever, eh?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
like, "Hey, I'm free in the next 20 minutes. What you doing?"
Yes. Let's meet up.
But right, because you've got even if it was absolutely as free as a bird, you've just got that. Oh shit! Do you know? And
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah, it can be quite intimidating, I suppose.
Yep.
I would say a good couple of weeks. I think.
Yeah, a couple of weeks. Okay.
Would you say that's normal or?
Uh look, I did do that for a couple of weeks when I first started because I was like, oh, I've got to suss them out, blah blah. But then what I did was, as sort of like, a couple of years into it, I was like, I'm investing too much time in this shit, like, and then
That's the thing.
so then I ended up just going, oh, I'd have a chat and we'd lock in a time to see each other probably about 7 to 10 days after starting the chat so that I just wouldn't invest so much time. Because I found that like sometimes because what happens chatting to two, and that's the downside, right, with online dating is you've got so many people, like so much noise and
Yeah,
so much swiping and all this stuff. So that when you actually sort of like start to funnel them down, because realistically, you can only talk to what, two or three at any one time before you get your stories confused.
oh Jesus, yes.
Like, because you go, hang on a minute, what did I talk to him about? What did I talk to him about? So then you end up just sort of like end up funneling down because there would be always one person who would be more receptive to your questions and your messaging and all that stuff.
Yeah,
That I just found that if I invested too much time on that online presence and then I went out and met them in real life, that I'd just go, oh, because then it sort of like leaves that really, because spoken to that person so much, you know so much about them, and then when you met them in person, you just go, oh.
Yeah, because like, what have you got left to talk about? Because
Yeah.
you've spilled
And
your guts, eh?
yeah, you spilled your guts, and then if there is no physical connection there, and people talk like either about chemistry or physical connection or whatever, but if you see that person one on one, and then all of a sudden there isn't that gel, it's really hard because you just go, oh, they know my life story, and it goes back to that interpersonal connection.
Yeah, yeah. I suppose it does, eh? I mean, I think as well, it's like you're saying, like sometimes if you've got too many conversations on the go as well, it can be just not that I'm a player. Jesus.
No, I don't think that, and this is where I think a lot of people go, oh, I've started, just say you and I started chatting, and then I'll go, oh, I saw Will online, and when people used to say that to me, I go, well, yeah, of course he can be online, because at the end of the day, you're online. Like, how would I know if you're online if I wasn't online? Do you know what I mean?
Exactly that, yeah. And
So, and
yeah,
people go, oh, he's a player, he's still online. Until that person locks you down, and if it's a monogamous relationship, until that person locks you down and say, hey, I'm dating exclusively you, I just think it's still open.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I don't know. How do you feel about that?
yeah.
It's a
It's
mixed, it's,
it,
you have
it's
mixed feelings.
it's so funny because like one of my best friends was telling me that I'm quite, as she says, gushy gushy in a
Gushy,
relationship.
gushy.
Yeah, it's like I used to like the girl that I've just finished seeing. Like I used to leave her like little wee notes to wake up to in the morning,
Oh, how sweet. Like the romantic.
right? But apparently
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
too much.
Too much gushy gushy.
Yeah, and I would just leave her like wee notes to wake up to in the morning, being like, you're loved. The kids are lucky to have you. You're a fantastic mum, and things like that. And I'd just leave her wee notes to wake up to.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, no, that was too much apparently.
Oh, right. That's too much.
Bitches be
Yeah,
crazy,
it's
right?
striking that balance is hard, isn't it?
It is because like the words like we were talking and like I just discovered that the word love bombing was a thing.
Yeah. That was all the terminologies that I didn't get. Love
Right?
bombing and breadcrumbing
Yes. Oh my
and
god, yeah.
ghosting.
Yeah. Oh
Um,
god, yeah.
yeah, I used to sort of like, I ended up inventing my one, boomeranging. It's like, because they go out and then they come back, so
Yeah.
they just do and
Hang
then they
around.
come back. So, um, yeah, like all these terminologies, and there's always new ones.
Yeah, because like my problem is like I'm quite an open and honest person. It's
Yeah.
like, if if like she came to me and she was wearing like a dress or something and she was like, oh, does this look nice? I'd be like, well, no, it doesn't. I would be honest. And
Yes.
but apparently, shock horror, there's ways and means to be nice and honest. Who'd have thunk it?
You got to, there's a school for that, apparently.
And I wonder why I'm single. But yeah, no, like I'm always one for like wearing my heart on my sleeve.
Yeah.
And again,
So,
like I don't
like, so that's the thing, right? Like, it's a bit of a trade off. You're very honest, but at the same time, you leave these sweet notes around. So you could actually have somebody who might say, hey, that dress looks nice, but they might not do other romantic stuff. So
yeah,
one person's romantic stuff could be another person's stalkerish stuff.
yeah, yeah. That's true actually, and it's weird because it's like I was always mindful of of her and how I made her feel and stuff, and
Mm.
we only live like about 20 minutes apart, and it wouldn't be the first time that I would walk 10 minutes in the opposite direction, pick her up a tin of Red Bull, and then walk 30 minutes to drop off at her front door and then just leave.
Oh, that's nice.
Right?
I think that's nice. Like my partner does some really nice things. Like one day I was just talking, and I think I was just in one of those stressful, and he lives about 20 minutes away. And I just said, because the big thing at the moment for Easter is that the prices of chocolates have increased.
Yeah.
So I was like having this rant, because I don't drink, I don't smoke, and so I'm just boring.
I
And
feel that.
and so like on those moments where it's so stressful, I'd like to have some chocolate. And I was ranting. I'm like, the only thing I do like is chocolate, and even that's increased in price. And then that afternoon after work, he came by with some Hague chocolates, and it was just really nice. It's just those little things. Um,
It is, eh? It is
and
the
I
little
just think
thing.
and I just think that's just so cute. Like I would rather that than any type of fancy schmancy stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
So, women do still appreciate it, Will. You just have to find the right one.
Yeah. I would, yeah, hope so. I hope so. So, in regards to the minefield that is online dating, what do you think in regards to women being safe online?
Oh, I think,
What are some precautions that you think women can take?
look, I think always meet in a public place. If you
Yes.
can, meet during the daytime, like I said, for a walk where there's a lot of public people around. Always let your girlfriend or a friend know where you're going to be. The other thing that I used to always do was like take a screenshot of the photo of the person that you're meeting up with and send it to your friends so that they know who you're meeting up with, like where you're going, if there's a change in venue. That's always important. And there's probably another one in there. Oh, just when you actually turn up on the date, always give a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and at least your friends know. So the thumbs
Yeah.
up would mean, yep, he looks like his profile picture. Yes, I'm safe here. You know, I
Yeah.
didn't turn up and I was looking for someone in it. Yeah. So yeah, so a thumbs up, and it was very little because it's something that you can actually do without engaging too much in. So if you turned up and you met somebody and you go thumbs up, thumbs down, they probably know to give you a call midway through about half an hour, 45 minutes, and say, hey,
The old
there's an
family
emergency.
advice.
There's an emergency. You've got to get out of there. But I think that that's always sort of like, yeah, a thumbs up or a thumbs down is always a good short little message to sort of like say, yep, I'm okay, to go ahead with that date. So just a couple of those things. Always
Yeah,
public places.
yeah, for
Let
sure.
people know where you are.
Yeah, what I
That's,
always tell Sophie to do whenever she's going out with her friends is turn her location on her either Snapchat
mm,
or WhatsApp. Just ping me
mm,
her location, things like
yep,
that.
yep, yep. So like
Like,
those things are just, yeah, it's just important, right?
yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's just me being like overcautious, being a girl dad, but I don't know. I just think
Well,
it's
you
good etiquette, eh?
you use the technology to your benefit. Like I know that they're sort of like talking about kids of our kids being so used to switching their location on, whether that's going to be something that they are so used to doing that later on, if they do end up in a coercive control type relationship, that is their abuser keeping track of them as well. So I guess it's about safe using of technology.
Yeah, yeah, I suppose it is, eh? Yeah, because you've got to think of everything,
Mm,
really. You
you do,
can't just
yeah,
think
yeah.
of the here and now. And you've got to kind of like, yeah, think about the future and that. And
And what message that it was interesting because I actually run a social group in Sydney. And in that social group, it's a lot of men and women who are separated or divorced, and then they're actually finding a way to connect with people again without the pressures of dating and all that. So we do a lot of social events. So there was a couple of mums that I've actually met, and I sort of like said to them, let's meet here. You can come to my place. I drive in, to wherever we're going, whether it be a night out dancing.
yeah,
And she said to me, Oh, I had 101 questions from my daughter. She asked me where you were going, who are you meeting up, and she was saying, I met this lady online. She had her social group. I'm going to meet at her house. Now, I don't want you to do this when you're out dating.
I mean, it's. I mean, we're always telling kids not to go to strangers' houses, but then as an adult, sometimes needs must, right?
It was just
It's-
so she was like, as I was saying everything out loud, I was like, now this sounds like a really stupid idea. I really shouldn't be doing this.
yeah. Oh, I think it does as well. I think there comes a time where you kind of you do that. You say everything out loud, and it's like, am I actually doing this?
Yeah, that's
And
right.
it's like you're raising red flags for yourself. You're becoming your own walking red flag.
That's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, it's brutal. It is brutal. I do think though that there is kind of someone out there for everyone. I think if you really, I think sometimes, oh well, it's going to sound cliche as fuck, but I think sometimes love comes along when you're not looking for it.
Oh, totally agree.
Because as I say, it's like the recent girl, like I've known her for about 9 years, and
Mm.
just we just sat one day and we just chatted, and we're like, hey, I kind of like you, and she's like, I kind of like you, and it was like, oh, what does this mean, kind of thing, and then there's that awkward conversation, and it turns out that we're just better friends. But
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
think sometimes it's
Yeah,
better,
it does happen when you least expect it.
yeah, for sure, and that's also okay.
Hmm.
Well, you've got to kind of dip your toe in the water, as it were, or you're just going to be a sad, lonely old man with 50 cats. And
Yeah,
you
that's right. You're going to either be a cat man or a cat woman, so
yeah, and I don't have any yet, but there's always time yet.
there's always time.
I'm only 42, so I've got time, I've got time for the cats.
There's time. There's
I've
time.
got
Yeah.
time for the cats. Oh, right. Well, anyway, I'm going to let you go because this is now in my time,
Yes,
2:24 a.m.
we
Oh,
can talk for hours. It appears.
I think we probably could, to be fair, but I think I've taken up enough of your time, and
Thank
your
you
day
so
is
much.
just starting. Your day's just starting. Mine's is. Oh
Yeah,
God, I
you're
never
gonna be
maybe I'll
you're
look at
gonna
the time
be
again.
upset.
Yeah, I will be actually. She's normally up at the back of 6 for the school run.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. You better go to bed.
Yeah, I'm going to. But anyway, thank you again so much. This has been an
Thank you.
absolute blast.
Yeah, it's been good fun.
It really has. Once I've like edited all this and stuff, I will send you a copy.
Please do, and then I'll shoot it all on my social media as well.
Yeah, no worries. Well, anyway, thank you again, and
Thanks, Will.
I will see you down the road.
Yep. See you there. Bye.
Yeah, bye. Oh, well, that was Naomi, everyone. What an absolute character. All the way from Sydney, Australia. Man, I love the Australian accent. I could listen to it all day. But yeah, if you have any dating questions, advice, or if there's anything on the topics that we spoke about, like safety issues, please by all means drop them in the comments because like I mentioned, my Sophie's 13 in 2 weeks' time is grim, but there will come a time where she will date, and you guys might have tips that I've not thought of or things like that. So honestly, guys, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. That was a banging conversation. That's been an hour, but we're only meant to be half an hour because she's got stuff to do. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully, we'll get something sorted soon again, and I will see you down the road.